Good morning. Hello. Testing. What's up, everybody? Oh man, I feel pretty good. Even though I got kind of a stressful day coming up. What's up? What's up, everybody? We are live. Um, Hope everybody is doing well. Let's see. Let's. I had a. Yesterday was kind of interesting. I am noticing more and more that trying to book something after 12 o'clock, you're kind of SOL. And when a load cancels, that hurts. Um, because now your plan is out the window. So that's where flexibility has to come in, and I was striking out. So trying to get a truck from Kansas City to Indiana is a lot more challenging than you think. That's it's crazy. At least for a good rate. So I was striking out quite a bit yesterday. But you know what? We persevere. We go through it, and yeah. So you just got to keep on keeping on, right? So hopefully, here's the thing, though. We've got a couple of things to talk about today. One of them is the holiday. We've got the holiday coming up. So I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and his strategy is going to be next week. He's going to run in a 300-mile radius because we live in a good area. And so that way, if that last minute load that gets you home cancels, you can just go home. You're not trying to deadhead 1,500 miles. Which that can be expensive. It's amazing to me, all these people that say they refuse to run for less than X amount per mile, but then they'll deadhead 1,000 miles. Well, if you do with the all mile measurement, guess what? Now you're still at that rate per mile that you refuse to run out of there with. But volume, availability, that's the other issue, right? If you have to deadhead 1,000 miles because you just don't want to do something for a buck a mile, I can understand that. But when you have to deadhead 1,000 miles because you have to, because there's no other choice, because there's no loads to get you home, then that can become expensive. So if you do the math, let's say you got to deadhead 1,000 miles home, and you're getting 8 miles to the gallon because you're empty, right? So 1,000 divided by 8, that's 125 gallons times, we'll call it $4. That's $500 to go home. Well, I mean, you're going to spend that in a hotel, or it's you can't put a price on spending the holidays with your loved ones and all that. So I mean, it's worth that $500. And but at the same time, if you do that over and over and over, that adds up. So it's something that you have to be aware of and have a plan for. And if this is your first Christmas of running the spot market, just know that cancellations are common. You could be laid over. You could get somewhere. And Monday is going to be interesting, the 26th, because a lot of places are closing for the Christmas holiday on that day because Christmas lands on a Sunday. So all these places that are Monday through Friday, they're not going to be open on Monday. And so you might show up you might pick up something that on Friday, on the 23rd, that delivers on Monday, and then you get there on Monday, and they won't unload you till Tuesday. Now that's where the rate con, if it says Monday, they should be giving you layover, whatever. But what brokers are going to pay that? Some will, some won't. So if you are running over the weekend, make sure that you're getting your money, because some people are going to be working during Christmas. And It's it's part of this game, right? It's part of this game that you have to pay attention to. And what I try to do is the short game to get you close, and then also, but you got to live in a good area. It's hard to do the short game when you live in like North Dakota or Montana or Nevada. Unless you find some local work, and then at that point you're spending the night in the truck for what, $300 a day with the rates that we got now. So it's just, but some money is better than no money. So, but cancellations happen. That's why I try not to stage trucks in areas that if a cancellation happens, we're screwed. What throws me off is when you go to Ohio, and this happened to me early in the spot, a couple of years ago. They had a lot of flooding, so they weren't not harvesting. They weren't preparing the fields yet. So a lot of the short stuff was being absorbed by the local carriers, local farmers, that have trucks. And for the first time in my life, I had trouble finding a load out of Ohio. It was crazy. That threw me off because, you have a load cancellation in Columbus. Well, you know what? There's 800 loads to take its place. And so that's kind of, that's what we deal with. So let me go to Sage's comment here. Trying to find a driver on the spot market is a waste of time. I tried for 4 hours for a legal flatbed in Texas. You have to ask yourself why. What was the difficulty? Number one, I thought you had some dedicated carriers that would pull your stuff for you. And number two, throw money at something and you'll find somebody. Especially in Texas. I know 2 people with step decks that weren't in Texas that could have maybe possibly hold your load. 400 miles for $1,200. So you have to evaluate, why did you have trouble finding somebody to pull that? So where were you coming out of, Sage? Like what part of Texas? It's a pretty big state. And where was it going? Let's do some shout outs while he answers me. Nathaniel, what's up? Good morning. Sterling, good morning. Pigtail, good morning. Don Shonger, hello. Gary Compton, morning from Oklahoma. Kind of chilly out here, ain't it? Not first today, old school, but you're here. So that's important. Nothing Woody, good morning. Top of the morning. Nice treat on to have you live. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good Friday. Boulder Woods, what's up? TJ, what are you doing these days? I notice you do a lot of live feeds from home. Are you working? Is everything all right? I've had 2 weeks of cancellations and a Friday afternoon. It's rough. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. Nothing like a truck breakdown to blow up a good load. No broker. I can no longer do the $1,200 load anymore. Drats. Hopefully this won't be expensive. Did you have one of those booked? One of those 1,200 deals? Good morning. You're looking damn fine up in the big screen this morning. That's scary. That's scary that you would watch me on a big screen TV. Trucker Anonymous, good morning. I am the face of radio. Only accept a Monday, December 26th delivery if you're provided with the name or telephone or cell number. Call December 23rd to get confirmation shipper is open. Yes, that has to be up. Calls all day of service. Bad carriers. That's worse than what I'm getting for dry van, typically, Sage. Wow, there you go. SST hot shot load. That kind of money on a hot shot load, 20 feet, 10K weight. Look, and here's the other thing. Capacity kind of tightens during this time of year because people go home. Where was it going? That's important too. This morning he called for it. There were still 3 of the 5 posted. Well, I'm hoping I get a couple of calls today. Hey, you know that rate that you wanted? We can do that now. We need exact numbers. Approximately 400 miles for $1,200 is way different than 500 miles for $1,100. Jose, good morning. Now, look, CSA bad. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, Sage. Okay. LA, Louisiana, or Los Angeles? Going to Louisiana, that yeah. Probably not Los Angeles at 400 miles. Duh, Steve. Sometimes I'm dense. All carriers had a bad CSA. Well, here's the thing. I mentioned a few months ago that with flatbed raging through the roof, that was going to affect flatbed rates. And here's the other thing. I'm a part of this Facebook group because I was trying to learn about flatbed, and it's called Flatbed Life or something like that. And these guys are sending pictures of bad securement because you have a bunch of new people in the flatbed world that normally wouldn't or shouldn't be. So there's an uptick. I mean, you literally, if you're a one truck operation, you know, I don't know if insurance requires you, hey, we see that you put a flatbed on the insurance. Do you have training? You know, the smart carriers will get training. I have a friend that did that. I got training. But there's this overabundance of flatbed carriers that have just switched flatbed and that don't know what they're doing. So that's part of it. And so the DOT is loving because they're doing these blitzes on flatbeds because they know that they're securing these things wrong. And so I warned people a while ago that flatbed rates were going to go down. You know, the seasonality of flatbed was going to affect rates. And also you had a bunch of people doing something that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to price loads. I know so many people in the spot market don't even know how to price their own stuff, let alone tie down, you know. And so you had hundreds of calls, no carriers you could use. So present here your requirements. Now, what I'm running into is, and this has happened to me a couple of times with my outside carriers. Oh, you don't have an inspection, we can't use you. So that's become an issue. Now, I think it's interesting that back when there was more freight than trucks, that brokers didn't care about that. Now that the tables have turned, now the brokers suddenly care. Like now they can be selective, which is a good place to be if you're a broker, unless you're dealing with Eric stuff. And so maybe a video of Sage, this is an idea, right? Maybe do a video on the importance of keeping your CSA score good so you can haul the high quality freight. And so when a broker sees a carrier with a good score, no out of services, you know, good inspections, low accident rate, they should embrace them and love them because of what Sage is dealing with now. That's just me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a broker yet. I'm not the smartest candle in the wind there, you know. I know that was kind of a stupid comment, but but I do know that brokers have been emailing me and calling me like there's too many loads for trucks. Like they're desperate for trucks. And now what I'm realizing, they're desperate for carriers that are worth a darn. And that's important. So I'll put out a link here in a second. CDN just dropped a good comment. That has a question. If the StreamYard would catch up. I don't know why it's not showing CDN's comment. That's weird. I'll read this off of the phone, I guess. That is strange. I would have switched to a regular flatbed and requoted load or took loss. Look at OTJB. He had bad CSA score all last year due to a small fleet. Don says, I've never had a broker mention anything about CSA or safety score. Mine is currently flawless, but I've never had anyone mention that. Honestly, didn't even know they checked that. Yeah, there's one broker that I tried setting up with another carrier. That the guy's been aggressive on texting me, trying to get my business, and so I booked a load with an outside carrier, filled out the carrier packet, the whole 9 yards, and then all of a sudden he's like, at the last minute, they're like, "Oh, we can't use him. He hasn't had an inspection." Oh, well, you should have mentioned that before I filled out the carrier packet. And then that's happened to this carrier twice. The second time, it's costing a little bit of money. And then that same broker for you, Don, I was going to hook you up with that guy, and he said that he didn't have any problem with you because you've had a good inspection. So let me put the link in here. I'll let Sage come in here. Just keep calm. Don't be emotional. Don't curse. Kids are watching the show. All right? Ready? Here we go. I'm in a 95 Pete 379 today, Detroit 12.7. Awesome, Cody. I was offered 10 loads at $1,400 for 437 miles, and I could do 3 on hours of service. All right, faceless one.
I'm on my phone. That's why I'm outside.
Okay.
So, real quick. So the price was not the issue. Like it was 20 foot. I got endless amounts of calls. I posted it out for flatbed, step deck carrier, carriers, and hot shot carriers. The phone was ringing off the hook. I mean, off the hook. I couldn't get people in there. The issue, and I'm getting email after email after email after emails and stuff like that. The first thing was like DIY said, I'm getting emails with absolutely no signatures, just absolutely, load this info. And it's like nothing else. And so those I skip because I don't know the details on you.
Uh-huh.
The second thing I'm getting is you need to show people, you need to do a screenshot and show people where they can find their CSA scores. I literally had probably 20 people who had no idea where to even find their CSA scores. I'm pulling it up. They're out of service in everything, but not hazmat, but they're out of service in all the categories. I mean, I had one guy that had he had like 20 inspections or something, or 15 inspections. I think he had 2 trucks. I'm pulling from memory here. And he had an out of service on his trucks of 82% or something. I'm like, dude, I can't use you. I can't use you. Now, I've never, even good times or bad times, I required your CSA scores to be decent because that's my job. That's the broker's job, is to make sure a qualified carrier, a safe carrier is doing the freight.
Right.
But even with some of these lawsuits that are coming out, that if brokers don't check, they're becoming more responsible for nuclear verdicts, right? But it's something I've always done. I've checked the CSA score. I've checked, various other options that you have as a freight broker to verify carriers. But I'm telling you right now, one, show people where to find their CSA score, and put in like 166960 is Landstar. You can throw whatever in there because they don't even know where to find them. They don't even know what their scores are. They have no idea when I bring it to them. I literally said, well, here's a screenshot, and I email them a screenshot. They're like, oh my God, I didn't even know. I'm like, yeah, you can literally pull down and see what tickets you got, on what equipment you got. This is all public information. That's my first check. The other thing was just either they spoke barely any English, or I had one guy call me, and on the phone it said broker, and I'm like, hey, are you a broker? He's like, no, we're not a broker. I pull them up, they are a broker. I'm like, why did you tell me you weren't a broker? And so that can't use that guy. Well, we're a broker and a carrier, but I'm going to put this one on my truck. I said, so when I asked you when you were a broker, why didn't you say you were a broker, but we're going to put this one on one of our trucks, and I can verify that with a picture or blah, 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 or so on. So the issue wasn't the money. Like the issue was literally trying to weed through 400 phone calls or whatever that were coming through and trying to find the carrier that had a qualified safety rating, right? And you're trying to do interviews. So the point of the story here is, and I'll jump off, is that if you are a good carrier with a good safety rating, use this as a leverage point, because I know DIY is going through this. I know I'm going through this now. And like I said, I've got a lot of other carriers that were hauling stuff, and this was one load that was, like I said, it was 20-foot, hot shot, whatever. So my other guys we're all scattering to get things out before the end of the year so they can get them off their property, because a lot of businesses do that. Use this as a leverage point. Say, look, I've got a good CSA score. I'm good at communication. I can tell that you're probably dealing with 100 carriers a day that you can't even get qualified with their CSA scores. Use that as a leverage point with a broker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, throw that in their face, because it is their job. That is their job to check that. So if you want to try to get past some of the guys who have the bad ones, say, look, man, I got a good CSA score, and I know that's something you guys are required to check. That's a part of being a broker, but I got a good one. And go ahead and pull me up and take a look at it and tell me what you think, because I could eliminate half your phone calls right now, because most of the other guys probably don't have that. So it is something it's their job to do, but a lot of them they don't want to tell you that, right? But if you kind of throw that at them in a polite way, you've got them by the what, right? So
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I like that.
It's just something, like I said, if you know what their job is, what a broker's job is required to do. I've got the proper insurance, I got a great CSA score, we've got 10 trucks, we've got a bunch of inspections, and I know that's something you guys have to check to verify all this information. And you're probably finding a ton of guys who don't even qualify for that standard for you guys. And last thing you want to do is put your customer under one of those guys, because then you guys get in trouble. Well, I got a good one. I'm with blah, blah, blah. And you can go ahead and pull me up on that CSA and take a look. But keep me in your, if it's a load you like or whatever, a broker you like, keep me on your books here. Let's get this one done. Let's so, and be aware that you don't have to take all these. Because I'll tell you what, if somebody would have said that to me, my day would have went so much smoother. They would have got the load, and I would have been like, I'll go back to what do you need? What's where you at? How far? Because one guy couldn't get there until had to pick up Monday and deliver Tuesday, but he couldn't get there until Wednesday. So that I'm like, oh God. But I'm just saying that I just wanted to bring that point up, that if you guys got CSA scores, it's a job of a broker to verify this information. And if you got a good one, you know where to find yours. Use that as a leverage point, because there is a lot of, let's just say, completely unqualified carriers. And you're kind of letting the broker know that, hey, this is your job to check this. I've got a good one and I'm keeping it good. So let's take advantage of that. So I'll jump off. That's all I kind of.
Well,
go ahead.
CDN, hold on before you go. CDN says next time call him. He could have checked his internal database for suggested carriers.
Yeah, and I've done that before with him, and I did. It was just one of those things that I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Now I know I'm not. Because I wanted to post, right? I wanted to post a load. I had an opportunity to post one. I'm like, what are these guys all talking about? And I'm like, oh my god. And the people that called and the communication and everything and the scammers and everything else was just nonstop. nonstop.
Wait till you see the thumbnail of this video after it's uploaded. You're gonna like it.
Okay, but yeah, I'll jump off. Just want to kind of to let you guys hear that, and I'll let you go.
All right, later.
See ya.
Thanks, Sage. That's good advice. Now, some brokers are being lazy with using carrier 411, which can be detrimental to both parties. But no, that's look. If you got to taking care of your CSA score is one of the best things that you can is the best thing that you can do. To be honest with you. Let's see here. Let's go back to comments. Nice, but how do you get an inspection? I had two, but at the time, it's not like you can just ask to have done. It's all about luck of the draw. Well, as Will Burner's pointing out, you can actually pull in the scale and say, I raise my hand, sir. And if they got time, they'll do it. So what I suggest, if you're going to go that route, because you're running into too many brokers that want to see an inspection, is you go into one of these shops, get a full-blown DOT inspection, tell them what you're doing, so they'll be extra, vigilant, you would hope. So don't just look at my tires and say I'm good. I want you to get underneath this truck. I want you to do a full DOT because I'm getting ready to pull into a scale. Then get the truck washed. I don't care if it's a rattle trap. Get the dang thing washed. Make sure there's nothing in your dash. Make sure you don't have 15 different suction cup mounts on your windshield that shows that you're watching YouTube going down the road. Clear your dash. Make sure you don't have your bag of chips on there and your paperwork, and all that stuff. Close the curtains if you don't want to make your bed. Make the truck look presentable, and then go in there and say, I need an inspection. My brokers are being butt heads. Make them laugh a little bit, and then see if they'll inspect you. So that is something. I know a guy that was a company driver that would do that all the time because his company paid him extra for inspections, and so he would do that all the time. He wasn't scared. You got people that will dodge scales for as long as they possibly can. Like old school, and then you got people that will raise their hand and say, "Yes, please inspect me. I'm very confident." So, and if they could give you a level 2 where they just check your brakes and tires, or not even brakes, just check your tires and lights and paperwork, and there you go. That's enough. So, no quality carriers that sounds like Florida. Jose. Uh, that's funny. I wouldn't be that brave. I'd be scared they'd find something, even though I try to stay on top of everything to a fault. Right. And so the trick is to find the scale. And it's hard when you don't have a whole lot of experience. I know the scales that I would not do that. I know the scales that I would not volunteer to go in there. But at the same time, inspections aren't a stranger to me because I used to haul hazmat. So when you got placards on, you're a target. And flatbed, same thing. So you don't want to go in the scale where the guy's going to write you up for too much fifth wheel grease. You want to go in the scale where, they're just trying to meet a quota, and they'll send you on your way. As long as the paperwork shows you're good, and that's kind of how this works. So, there you go. There's the website right there. Sterling put it up. So I don't know why it's skipping over some of your comments, CDN. Oh, there you are. Okay, that's weird. Great information, says Cody. I had a new truck and a new trailer and wanted my yellow sticker for the window. There you go. T-Bone. And sometimes having a new truck, that they target those because they know it's going to be an easy deal. They know that everything's going to be right. They just want the quota met. When you have a rattle trap and they bring you in, that's where you're in trouble because they're going to find something. T-Bone, what's up? I got that same sticker on my truck and trailer now. Honestly, I think the second inspection I had, he only checked paperwork because he saw those stickers. All right, I'm back. It's what you and others have said before. Too many drivers are getting their carrier authority without any business acumen. And that's the big. See, here's the thing. That's your competition. As Sage said, you have people that email without anything in the description, any signatures. You can have a Gmail account and still have a signature with pictures of your truck. If you're a one truck carrier, but you go into all 48 states, you can sit there like we're a 48 state carrier authority. I mean, you can make yourself look presentable. Just like I'm frustrated when I call a broker and they're like, yeah, is this so and so broker? Yeah. All right, you have a low post. I mean, it just kills. You can be the master negotiator. So I'm trying to learn how do I deal with that because obviously the person hates their job. They're just doing what they're told. They're told not to go below a certain number. Meanwhile, the smart brokers are the ones that are talking to you, that are smoozing with you, that are giving up a little bit. They'd rather go off of volume than they'd rather get 10% commission on 100 loads versus 50% commission on one load. And so their numbers look good. And then therefore they move up in their ladder chain at their brokerage. If they even have that kind of control. Most don't. A lot don't. And CDN will vouch for that. CDN will tell you, yeah, I'd rather if I have 100 loads to move, I need to figure out a way to move them. And I'm blessed to have 100 loads to move. Because here's the thing, low volumes are not only affecting us, but they're affecting brokers as well. So if they got less loads to move, they need their commission. So can you imagine having like 10 loads that you have to move that day and dealing with the stuff that Sage was talking about? Being a broker isn't the easiest thing in the world. What, we're supposed to check stuff? Yeah, jackknife. That's funny. FedEx pays me $100 for every clean DOT. My boss limited to once a week. And the other, I know a company out in Eldon, Missouri, that if the owner sees you doing your pre-trip in the morning, he will hand you $100 bill. So their yard is filled with a bunch of guys, looking around while doing their pre-trip, trying to get that $100. Is there flatbed training for carriers? I believe so. I know that like Landstar had a course. There are courses out there you can take. There are some schools out there. I don't know how to find them because I've never dived into that world, but I do know that they exist. But they're costly. It costs downtime. You know, and there are books that you can get at the truck stops and online that tell you load securement, but a lot of people just jumped into the flatbed not knowing what they're doing with no training. I have a friend of mine that did try flatbed, and he took the time to get training done. He took the time and expense to get the training done because he wanted to make sure it was right. Because the last thing you need is a coil. There was a Facebook photograph of somebody who had strapped, not chained, but strapped a coil. And so if I was a flatbed broker, I would be a lot more stressed. I would want pictures of the load securement. As a flatbed carrier, and Jackknife, correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't it be advantageous to, as you tell the broker that you're loaded, you take a picture of the truck and the load securement and say, look, we're loaded in tarp. Click, send that in the email. That's what I would do. I mean, I do that with the dry van. Before I close the doors, I take a picture of me securing the load. So basically, it's a cover my own butt to sit there and show that I've strapped it. So if it shifts, that's not on me. or I did what I could. And then I take a picture of the seal when it's sealed, and I take a picture of me putting a lock on it. Or I take a picture with the seal and the lock. Because I want the broker to know that their load's in good hands. You can do that in reefer, you can do that in any platform. If you do a loadout trailer power only, guess what? They want 1,000 pictures of that trailer. So why not just do the minimum? If you're running van or reefer or flatbed, and just show at least one picture saying, hey, your stuff's in good hands. Because if you require that, you can even require that as a broker, I would think. I know that I've had brokers require pictures of the empty trailer before I go pick up a load, because they want to see that it's empty, number one. Number two, they want to see what the floor looks like. They want to see that they're putting their stuff in a food grade trailer. I've actually had that. So it stand the reason that on the Raycon you can put, as a flatbed broker, say, hey, extra $50 if you send me a picture of your securement. And that's what a lot of brokers do on the Raycons. They break down, like, let's say you negotiate a load for $2,000. They might go $1,800, $100 for tracking, $100 for load securement photos. So if you don't do either one, you're only getting $1,800. And then they'll put you on the blacklist of not using. Probably shouldn't have every IFTA sticker for the last 10 years on the truck either. 5 or 6 will do. I'm kind of guilty of that. They're badges of honor, man, T-Bone. I think I got 3 on mine. As an LTL driver, the scales never pull me over, or even with placards. Yeah, I mean, they know that you guys are on a time crunch, so they tend not to bother you. Oh, man, this thing is insane. Will Burner, you're a new member. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see. I lost my place here. It's just like say what you want about TMC, but their training for their drivers is probably the best in the industry. Yep, I agree with that. Unfortunately, almost 2 years and no inspections. I understand the reasons from brokers, but when a carrier is doing the job correctly and not getting stopped and inspected. Yeah, but on paper, Charles, that could look like you're avoiding the scales. And that's what they're trying to. Now, if you have 2 years with no inspections, that looks weird to a broker. Like, that's weird. Because they don't know. I mean, unless they look well, I guess they are looking at the FMCSA to show that you're a one truck carrier. But look, that rule sucks. I get it, but at the same time, it's something that we have to deal with. I know snow hitting hard in PA. Yep, I got a truck. He barely got out of there. I recommend, if you want to get an easy inspection, you go through any California scale house. Are you being sarcastic? Hey, I want some stickers. Where do you get them? Are they cool stickers? Google free email signature. Step up your game, fellas. Right? They give you a fuzzy bunny sticker. I'm a believer of establishing high standards. You develop this by serving in the Army or working for a company that has high standards. You will build a better company regardless of industry. And that's the thing with TMC. That's a military background. They don't even let you cook in their trucks. They don't let you cook. They don't let you trash them. They make you wash them, like, often. Go to any truck wash. How many TMC trucks do you see in there? And one time they were running big hooded trucks. I mean, they were like some of the nicest company trucks you could get. But man, they wanted it. You weren't the guy that's going to have 3 cats or dogs and your wife and kid and you're cooking and living in the truck. They didn't want that at all. You email the broker and you say what you pay, or I move very fast for what you pay, or I take now truck. And look, I was looking at loads yesterday, as I do every day, and there was one load that kept popping up, and the money was good on it. So I called him up. It was like, yeah, I'm calling your load, picking up Friday, going to wherever, and and so he sits there and proceeds to. First of all, he answered the phone. Yeah, hello. Okay. The second part was it was a 750-mile run that needed to be picked up at 11 a.m. today and delivers at 7 a.m. tomorrow with the time zone change. And I literally had to tell him that's not doable unless you got a team. You got a team? It's like, and so what's here's what that guy's going to have. He's either going to have that team that will pull that load, or or some carrier is going to call him and say, "Oh yeah, we can get that done. No problem." And then like an hour before the delivery time, they're like, "Oh, we had a flat tire." That is common. Carriers do that all the time, which is why they all want tracking now. And this guy couldn't understand why he couldn't get the load moved. The money was right. It was like $3.20 a mile for 700 something miles. It was good money. And I could have easily lied to him. Yeah, we can get that delivered. No problem. But I didn't. So just like there are drivers that don't know what they're doing, there are brokers that don't know what they're doing. And I think that's where the animosity comes from. So as a broker, this is just, I don't know, I could be wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm just full of it. But as a broker, I'm going to want the carriers that I know that don't do that I know that don't have issues, right? Just like as a carrier, I want to use the brokers that have their act together. I want to use the brokers that won't avoid my phone calls when it comes time for detention or layover. I want to use the brokers that that are so on it with their customers that they can get anything done for you if needed. If there's a major hiccup, like the product's not there, or they got to make the product as you're going, so we're going to be flexible. And that, tell you what, when you're dispatching 5 trucks, the last thing I want to do is make 30 phone calls for each of those trucks. I want to find the brokers that are reaching out to me that have the right freight, that have it at the right price. And I've literally booked an entire week with 4 phone calls. So brokers should be reaching out to the good carriers that have good scores, that do the pictures, that have the email signatures, that have the pictures of the securement, that do the check calls. How many times have you heard, well, you got the tracking app, why are you calling me? Now, I know that's frustrating, getting a call at 4 a.m. when you've downloaded their silly app, but here's what I do. I'm like, hey, we're just checking your location. Well, yeah, my location is St. Louis, Missouri. Hey, is my tracking app working? Because if it's not, I need to remedy that. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's working. Okay, well, can you explain to me why you still have to make a phone? I mean, I do it in a nice way. Like, oh, is there another reason why you guys have to make phone calls even though I'm using your tracking app? Is there something I could be doing better? And that will impress them. And then they'll flat out tell you, well, Coke wants this, the macro point, but we still have to check it with our system, so it's just better for us to call the driver. And then you know what I do? Give them a live share off my ELD and still do the check calls. Because I'm a firm believer that the best loads don't hit the low board. They go to the carriers that do those kind of things first. Jordan B just blew my turbo an hour from Springfield, Missouri on my go home load. Was going to see Machine Head tonight. I doubt that's going to happen. Are they playing tonight, Jordan? Number one. Number two, that, oh, dude, that, I've blown a turbo. That's no fun. I think Machine Head already played here, so you must be watching them somewhere else. Yeah, TMC and Maverick train flatbed. Say what you want about. Okay, we've already read that. Let's see. I don't know what kind of truck you have, but my suggestion is to buy a 150 Harbor Bay freight tool set and find an Uber to the closest salvage yard and you have it up and running. Jackknife, if it's a newer truck, he's going to need a computer to calibrate the turbo. If it's an older truck, yes, you are absolutely correct. Oh, whoa. Don't want to do that. Let's see. Yes, OTJB made a video how to create a professional email signature for free. It's probably gone in the. How many channels was that ago? That'd be a good one to re-upload. Western Express and Central Oregon have good YouTube training videos, Jerome. Jackknife, that's not a bad idea. I understand the trick. Get hired by mega carrier, get the flatbed training, run a couple of loads, quit, profit. I believe they have outside training as well. There are some places that have outside training. You just got to pay the money. I'm 99% certain that most DOT officers will have no issues when they ask, where did you get your flatbed training? Response, YouTube. 745. As a flatbed driver, I made a habit of taking a picture of my load once it was on the trailer, then again once it was strapped, and then again once tarp was on it. See at all times. Yep, cover your ass at all times. This truck's going to have as many IFTA stickers as I get while I'm operating it. Badges of honor for sure. Yeah, they're very strict, James. They're very strict about what you can do in those trucks. Yeah, DOT only want to see 2 stickers. I mean, look, there's no rule. I mean, there might be a rule, but if they see like 18 stickers, then they know you got an older truck. So yeah, they're more likely to pull you in. Oh, there is regulation, right? Not enforced, obviously. The concept of trucking starts easy. Move freight from point A to point B. Quickly, it gets complex to complete requirements to achieve A to B. What gets lost is integrity and professionalism. There you go. Drop the mic. That one guy says Trucker's Coach is killing it at Swift. I hope so. I hope, like, here's the deal with Trucker's Coach. I hope he finds a company that he can settle in and do well with, because obviously that's been a struggle. Something hasn't hit right with him, and he's switched jobs quite a few times. I hope that he's at Swift for the rest of his career and he does well. There you go. Because one of the most important things of consistency is not switching companies all the time. It's hard to get you got to have a foundation. It's hard to get your bearings on something if you're constantly switching. And so I hope that he is killing it at Swift. So he'll stop switching companies. You want to see people succeed. Absolutely, James. You don't want to tear people down. You want to see them succeed. I'm reading the book called Hacking of the American Mind. That's one of the things they talk about. One of the things to help your depression is being the helpful person that wants to help everybody succeed. By helping others, you're helping yourself. And there's science behind it. And that's why everybody's so miserable, because everybody wants to tear everybody down. Wheelburner says, in the last 21 years as an owner operator, I've only been with 4 carriers. Same here. I was only a company driver at one company. And I've had Landstar, Schneider, like trucking. That's it. Help me help you, Jerry Maguire. Look, there's I mean, that's why community is important. That's why. Look, I don't get me wrong. I do pay attention to the number that's on the left side of my screen of how many people are in here, but at the same time, I don't. I don't pay attention to that. That's not a badge of honor for me. It's not a measuring contest for me. As long as I'm putting, the reason why I've been more consistent and more, the reason why I've been more consistent with these live feeds because I'm getting a lot of feedback that hey, I love your morning shows, and if as long as I'm doing this and it doesn't affect the drivers that I have in my job, then I'm willing to do this because there's never nothing to talk about. Saturday night was a perfect example. I literally thought I had nothing to talk about. I put up the link and boom, that thing was on fire for 3 hours. I had a bunch of rock stars in there. I was like, holy crap. And everybody called me, dude, I can't believe you arranged that. I'm like, that wasn't arranged because people wanted to reach out. People had something to say. People, Asian Mai, he's always willing to help the smaller channels out if he believes in what they're doing. Every company that coach works with is great, according to him. Then he quits. That's why I unsubscribe to him. He's full of, well, look, I've always said that you don't want to trust people recruiting for companies if they haven't been there for more than like if I suddenly went to another carrier and started talking about how awesome it was, would you guys take me seriously? And so you unsubscribe and it's no longer on your radar, right? I firmly believe that a lot of people that hop from company to company just hate trucking. Either that or you want all the control. So you get your own authority. Now you have all the control. Now you're the carrier. Now everything's on you. So you can do whatever you want. As long as it's within the FMCSA guidelines and within the law. And your costs are down, so you can afford to take a month off if you want. But that's a lot of responsibility. Freedom comes with a lot of responsibility. Wilburner says, show me the money. Oh, they're playing Oklahoma City. Yeah, I thought they'd already played here. I missed that show. I thought about going, but Machine Head's kind of bipolar with me. There's some albums I like from them, and some albums I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? And I've always believed that Rob Flynn is anti-Metalhead. He doesn't want to fit the persona, but he plays the music. That was I have issues with Rob Flynn, but I do enjoy some Machine Head albums. The best ones are the one where it's him and the other guy that was originally in Violence. So if you're a Machine Head fan, go seek out Violence. It's VIO dash and then Lens, the rest of the word, and look up their album Eternal Nightmare. That's one of the best thrash albums you'll ever hear. And that's Rob Flynn and the other guy that was a Machine Head for a minute. I forget his name. Don't forget the Fish. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm working on getting Lisa Kelly back. That'd be nice. Steve, check your email. Send a link to a video of 3 guys talking lumber industry. Start at 6:49. Only need to watch 5 minutes and see how lumber is pulse to the economy. Is it a copyright play? Yes. I can't play it here. And I don't have the system set up where I can play a YouTube video because I tried that earlier and the volume's too low. Because I remember there was one night where I was showing off my old channel. I was playing some of my old videos and no one could hear them. So I don't know how to fix that other than buying more stuff. And I don't really want to do that. So TBT. Don't seek out violence. Yeah. The band violence. I'm probably going to get a yellow $sign for this one because of that. The new Machine Head album has Vogue from Decapitation as the lead guitar player. Wow, you can tell it was heavily influenced by him. I was excited to see Vogue play tonight. Well, I might have to check out the new one. I might have to check out the latest Machine Head album. So, thank you for that, Jordan. So, all right, guys. Any comments, questions, or concerns? If not, I'm going to end this live feed because I got stuff I got to do. And look, it's Friday. Depending on where you're at, volumes have dropped, and the holiday stuff's getting interesting. You're going to expect low cancellations. So, strategy is try to stay in areas that if there is a low cancellation, you recover fairly quickly. Even that's being a challenge for me. Pay attention to those freight volumes. That's your best indicator of what of being able to be flexible. And if you put yourself in a situation with really good money in one direction, and just make sure it's enough money that if you have to deadhead home for the holidays, you can. Now, I've made that mistake before, so don't do what I do. So, anyways, guys, thanks for the positive comments. Like Will Brunner says, get back to work, slacker. That's a very positive comment. CDN says, great show. TBC says, great show, never disappoints. Thanks, Steve. Great job. Thank you for being a member. And for all the people that are members, thank you very much. The memberships have kind of kicked up. I put a poll out there of what you guys would want to see as members, and someone criticized me because it made me very sad. But he asked, who are you to think that you've got enough numbers to have a members only videos? Why do you even need that? I've looked at your numbers. Something doesn't add up. It's like, well, look, if people want to be a member, they need some extra perks. Now, if you are a member, email me your address. I will send you a guitar pick if you wish to have one. They're easy to put in the mail. I don't have to go to the post office. I just put them in a stamped envelope. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. And strength for today, hope for tomorrow. And I'll leave you with some jamming tunes later.